Helen here. How are you today? I hope you're okay. I'm okay. And yeah, I'm going to, I've got lots of things to chat to you about. So a little disclaimer right from the start is that if you're new here and you'd like to hear all about me starting my first quilt, I am going to talk about it, but I'm chatting about a few other things as well. So I make videos which are a mixture of all kinds of things. And I don't tend to do sort of single themed chats. I chat about whatever takes my fancy each time I sit down here in my craft room to chat to you. So it's rather a dull morning today, so I hope this lighting that I've got set up is okay. Anyway, well, as long as you can hear me, that's the main thing, and see the things I want to show you, that's okay. So today, apart from chatting to you about my first ever quilt that I've just started, I've got a little bit of knitting, and I've got an outing to a local museum that's absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to tell you about that. That's a little bit later. But I'm actually going to begin with some chat that I videoed last week when I was making last week's podcast. Honestly, I must be feeling very relaxed just sitting here talking to you because, yeah, I went on for absolutely ages, and I ended up having to just cut things out when I was making the video. And I know some of you wouldn't mind if I was sitting here for an hour or more, but really, I have to, don't encourage me, because you know, I could just carry on waffling on, and I decided to just give myself a time limit of around about 30 minutes. And I suppose that's partly because that is the length of podcast I enjoy watching. And so anyway, so I kept a bit of the video that I'd cut out of last week's. So I'm going to show you that first. That's me telling you all about the lovely poncho that my mum made me. So 2 years ago, when Phil and I went to Mull, we went to the weaving mill, and I was wearing at the time my crocheted poncho here. This one here, can't really see it's a poncho, but which I love, and I wear this absolutely loads, particularly in the camper van, but I wear it around the house as well when I just need an extra layer and I don't want to actually put a jumper on. And all this is, I did have a pattern for it, and it's a lovely stitch. Don't know what stitch is called, but I'll try and find the pattern and put it in the description box. But basically, it's a big rectangle. You just crochet a big long rectangle. I mean, you could knit one as well, couldn't you? And then you fold it in half, and then you just sew up one side there and leave a hole big enough for your head. So, and then you poke your head through, and so it's asymmetric, and that I'm completely fine with that. It keeps me nice and warm. So I had this with me when we went to the weaving mill, and when we were looking through the shop, I was very attracted to the items of clothing called, were they shepherd's wraps? Or no, shepherd's cloaks, I think they were called, which basically were open at the front, but they had a big bit that you kind of wrapped around yourself, and they were really lovely. And I was really, really close to buying one of those, but I decided that maybe I wouldn't actually wear it much. I wanted something like this that I would just slip on over my head, and that was it. And so I decided to buy a piece of fabric at the time. So what we did was laid this out, and the lady in the shop measured it, and I said what I wanted to do. So obviously we bought a little bit more for hems and seam allowances, and so there we are. So I had my piece of fabric, from 2 years ago, and went to my mum and said, please, will you make me a poncho like this one, but out of this tweed? And so she said, oh, all right, okay then. So she was fine with that. And I'd seen that the shepherd's cloaks were lined with cotton moleskin, which was beautiful. So I said I would like it to be lined with cotton moleskin as well. And so we acquired that. But then earlier this year, my mum still hadn't made a start on it. And I said, do you know what I would really love is when we go to Iona, we'll go on a trip to the Ardalanish weaving mill, and then I'll show them what you've made. So she kind of had a deadline then. So I said, do you think you can do it before we go away? And so of course she did do it. She did it in great trepidation, because she knew how much I had paid for the tweed. It was expensive, but worth every penny, because there's a great long process that everything goes through. The tweed that they make there, they use the fleeces from their own sheep on the farm, because it's actually on a farm, Hebridean sheep. But once they were doing well as a business, they didn't have enough fleeces themselves, so they use fleece from other farms on Mull, and I think maybe from slightly wider area as well. And nearly all of the process is done on the farm at the weaving mill, but they don't do the scouring, that's the cleaning of the fleece, and the spinning. So they send it off to Yorkshire to be cleaned and spun, and then it comes back to them, and then they do the rest themselves. So sometimes they are using their natural dyes that they make. They grow all the plants and make the dyes, and it's just all done there. It's absolutely fantastic. And then they have these really old Victorian weaving looms, which you'll have seen if you watched last week's podcast. And it's just wonderful. It's just wonderful to have something that you just know where it's all come from. It's just from, it's so local to where you are, where you're buying it. Anyway, so this special piece of tweed was turned into this beautiful poncho here. Now, in the first place, I was just expecting my mom to fold the rectangle of fabric in half, hem it and line it, and then it would just be asymmetric like my crocheted one. But she decided that she wanted it to be symmetrical, so I said that's fine. And eventually she settled on a design which she actually found in a tutorial on YouTube. And so it is actually symmetrical. I'll just hold it up. Oops, oh, it's not really folded in half at the moment. Just a moment. And you can see, yeah. So you can see that is symmetrical. And so she added this lovely collar here. I found a lovely button to go on it there. There's not a buttonhole. It's just decorative, but it just finishes it off nicely. And so it's all beautifully lined in this very warm cotton moleskin. Lovely texture. And I can tell you that is really, really warm. Probably the only problem I found with it is that because I have to put it on just over my head, or take it off, it ends up making my hair a complete mess. Well, my hair very easily gets in a mess. My hair rarely looks like I've even had put a brush anywhere near it. So when we were in this slightly posh restaurant during the holiday, and I had this on and I took this off, and like my hair was whoosh. But anyway, I can cope with that. I don't often go to posh places anyway. So I just think it's absolutely beautiful, and I know it is. I know I'm going to wear it lots, and of course, I feel that connection to a lovely place while I'm wearing it as well as feeling nice and cozy and warm. So yeah, so there we go. And if you are interested in making something like that, I'll put a link in the description box to the tutorial that my mum used to make it. So okay, so other things now, and I think we'll start with a bit of knitting. I hadn't shown you. I had actually started it this time last week, but well, I just had so many things to talk to you. I had to leave that out, as you know, with other things. Anyway, a few weeks ago, a lovely viewer, and hello Elizabeth if you're watching, got in touch with me and said, did I know that the new John Arbon Textiles annual that they do each year you could pre-order it, and that it had in it a pattern for a new animal by Cynthia Valley. Well, if you know me well, you'll know that would have excited me so much. So I went straight away, pre-ordered my annual, and eventually, it seemed to take ages, but it came at the end of August, and this is it. So this is annual issue 5. So, and I do like this annual, and I have normally bought the annuals, and they contain a few patterns which use the wool that John Arbon Textiles produces, and other things as well. It's a lovely little publication. If you haven't had it before, they've got quite a few puzzles in it and things, and their theme in this annual is the seaside. And honestly, when I just saw the pattern for the new animal, I was so excited. So the new animal is a water vole, and it's just so gorgeous. Of course, I started knitting it straight away. You could buy a kit from John Arbon Textiles. I think they do a kit. But honestly, I've just got so much wool suitable for making animals, I decided not to, on this occasion, buy a kit. But anyway, let's stop waffling about that and just introduce you. Will you come and say hello to everybody? She's a little bit shy, but yeah, you can stay with me. Stay with me, it'll be fine. Okay, so here she is. So I have called my little water vole River, and the one that Cynthia Valley has made is called Benjamin. I used Drops alpaca, which is a fine 4-ply yarn, and it has a lovely fuzz about it. It mostly needed one colour and tiny little bits of colour for the nose and the hands and feet. It's a little bit tricky to stuff to get the right shape, but there is advice on it in the pattern. You have to try and plump out the cheeks a little bit. I don't know if I've done it enough, but I like the shape of the head anyway, so it's fine. And stuffing the feet and legs in particular is quite a skill. No, they're so tiny, so they're so fine at the point. And the tricky bit is putting enough stuffing into the legs, which you can see are quite thin, so that you're not overstretching the knitting, but so that it's firm enough for the water vole to, stand without the legs bending. So there we go. And you can see that she is now wearing a very fetching stripy swimsuit. And now this was quite complicated to knit. Well, it was not too bad. The instructions, as always, are really, really good. But I had to learn a new kind of cast on, a provisional wind on cast on or something. I can't remember. It's a little bit like if you've done Turkish cast on before, where you wrap the yarn around 2 needles, then it's a bit like that, except that you don't knit down one side and then the other, but you just knit along one side, and then the other half of the wound on stitches are left on the cable, but they're there while you're busy knitting. I can't really explain that very well. It's a bit complicated, and I found it quite fiddly to do to begin with until I knew what I was doing. But Oh, it's great. That's one of the lovely things about me having done all of these Cynthia Ballet animals, is that I've learnt lots of new knitting techniques as well. I just think she looks so cute in that little swimsuit. She went out in the garden to see if there was a pond or something to have a swim in, didn't you? But you didn't find one. No, you went and asked the Wind in the Willows characters if they knew anywhere. They suggested the bird bath, but you changed your mind about that, didn't you? Yeah. Anyway, so there she is, and if you would like to just go and stand over there. Can you stand over there without falling over? And I have started making the little raincoat as well that there is. And this is, I'm using Knit Picks palette 4-ply for this, which is very similar in thickness to the alpaca, Drops alpaca. Oh, I use Drops alpaca for the swimsuit as well. And this is a bit kind of wibbly at the moment. It'll be better when it's had a soak, but I still need to do the hood for it. I've got some stitches held there, or marked there for attaching the hood, I think. So that will have 3 little buttons on it as well, but I'll show you that when it's finished. So there we go. So that's my knitting. So I think I'm going to chat about my exciting new big project, which is making my first quilt. So I've never made a quilt before, and I've wanted to for ages and ages, and as time has gone on, I've wanted to make one more and more. And so I think the main trigger really that got me into actually making a start, not counting all the beautiful quilts that I've seen people making on YouTube, that's definitely kind of spurred me on a bit as well. But yes, it was doing the sewing project, the Camphor sewing project in the summer that I enjoyed so much. The summer hair, it was an Angela Damond kit, and I loved doing that so much. And I thought I didn't want to frame it. I decided maybe I could put that have that as a square in a quilt. So the first thing was, I've got a pile of things here to show you. That obviously it wasn't square, so I had to cut off. That seems a bit shocking. I had to cut off the top bit. I can use that for something else though. It won't go to waste. So that was kind of the first thing that made me think, oh, I could put that into a quilt. And yeah, let's put that over there. Oh, otherwise I'll get in a muddle with all the things I've got here to show you. And then the other thing was, when I thought about that, I thought, oh, well, I could make some other squares, maybe with hairs on them, or with just other things. And I decided, oh yeah, so the other thing was that I saw Lily from Lily and the Bee podcast making a butterfly applique. I thought, oh, I'd really love to make one of those as well. So kind of separate, not really thinking about the quilt too much. I just decided to put a butterfly onto a quilt, a square, I mean. And so I used these smallest size hexiform shapes, and I'm ever so pleased with how that's turned out. When I sewed it onto the square, I then wanted to fill a bit of the gap around the butterfly, so I've kind of done seeds floating about. That's what they're meant to be. So I have that, and while I was busy playing with my hexiform shapes, I decided to do another one. I decided to do some flowers, and did these 2 big flowers first, and then I didn't like the big spaces here, so I thought, well, I couldn't fit 2 more this size in, so I thought, oh, I'll do 2 little ones. So I've got that as well then. And then I decided, well, perhaps I better actually make a plan. I need to design my quilt so that I'm not just randomly making loads of squares, although I could have carried on doing that for a while. So I drew out a plan on some squared paper and decided that rather than have all big squares, I would like to do some little patchwork squares as well. I thought I would like to do some 9 patches. I've never done a 9 patch before, and I thought I could alternate them with the big squares. I thought that'd be really nice. And being as I'm very keen on hares and also mice and music, I thought I'll have a quilt themed on those 3 things. And obviously I had to decide on the size. Well, I'd already worked out that this stitched hare that I'd done, I would be able to make a 7.5-inch square, which worked out very nicely for making a 9 patch with 2.5-inch squares. And sorry for people who only use metric, but patchwork and quilting and all that kind of thing seems to work in inches still more often than not. Anyway, so I had my size, and I decided when I was drawing my design that I was going to have strips in between the squares because I like the look of that. I've no idea how you do that, but you know, we'll come to that at some point. I need to do a lot of sewing first. Oh, and I forgot to say, I didn't just want to make a quilt, I wanted to make a completely hand stitched one. So yes, that's a slightly crucial part of the whole thing. So I kind of set that to one side and then decided to get on with making some more squares to go with this hare here. And so I used my book that I've bought from Angela Damon called A Drove of Hares in Stitches, and traced some of the templates that are in there onto paper, the right size. They're all perfect size in here, just about, the ones I decided to use. And then I cut myself some more fabric to get those out. And I like this. So, and following what I'd learned by doing the kit, I used some cotton plus 2 layers of muslin, because that's just what I did with the kit, so I thought that's probably the thing to do. And you might just be able to pick out that there's a line here that I've drawn on. So I made myself a 7.5-inch template for the finished size, and then I can so that I could then draw around it and cut the fabric, so I would have some a hem, not hem, you know what I mean, extra fabric. The other thing that I did was I was using, this cotton was quite a pale creamy colour, and it looked a bit funny up against this one because I'd stained this fabric in tea, so I decided I better do that for these as well, so it kind of matched. So that's what I did. So I prepared those. And I have done 2 more squares so far. So this is my first one. So the template that I had from the book here was just the hare and not the background. So I did the hare and then I just made up the background. Decided to have some hills here and here. I can't remember what that stitch is. It's like part of a lazy daisy stitch, but just on its own, or maybe it's a single chain. That's what it is, to make raindrops in the sky. So I'm really, really pleased with how that's turned out. And then the other one that I've done so far is this symbol. It's a sacred symbol of 3 hares in a kind of in a circle. And one of the features of this design is that each hare just has 1 ear, but it looks like it's got 2 because of the way that it's put together. And I wanted to kind of accentuate the ears. I decided for the first time experimenting with this, using chain stitch to fill it in, and I'm ever so pleased with how neat it is, really. And it just, the ears stand out. I don't know, I just love it. And then I just did I did lots of French knots all around. They look like stars, or anyway, I love the look of that. So very pleased with that. So again, so I've got some more to do. Got my fabric already cut. I've got my templates so that I can trace onto the fabric with a fabric pen. And so the other thing that I am going to put on the big squares are some stitched mice, and I'd had my eye on these designs for quite a while and looked at them quite a few times on Etsy. A lovely lady called Jilly makes, and she, I think still this year is doing something like a year of mice or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it's called. And so she's drawn a design for each month, and each one features a little mouse in there. So I was thinking about these for ages, and I was thinking, I could have a go at drawing them myself. But then I kept looking at these and think, well, they're so lovely, I couldn't really do better than that. So I took the plunge and bought them. So obviously there's 12 of those, so that means 12 big squares there. And in the design, I need 17 squares. So that means I'm going to do, so I've got 3 of these so far. I'm going to do 2 more of those. So I'll have 5 hairs. I don't know what I'm going to use these for. I just did these when I wasn't really thinking about the design. So maybe I'll have to make another quilt or make a mini quilt or something with these, with my butterfly and yeah. Anyway, those can just sit doing nothing for the moment. So the other thing that I needed to make a start on were the actual 9 patches. And I have now done 2 with the help of a very kind friend. I had no idea how to do it, and I got some really excellent advice from a lovely friend. And so here are my, let's hold them up the right way. I'll show you a photo probably. They kind of look a bit funny at the moment because the only one that's the right size, that's 2.5 inches, is the centre one. But obviously, these will be attached to other things, and so they will all look square eventually. And yes, I decided on this theme for the quilt of hares and mice and music, and then found that I had hardly any fabric with mice, hares or music on them. I had this idea in my head that I had lots, and I haven't. So I think these 9 patches are going to be not just mice and hares and music, but kind of a woodland nature type of theme as well, with occasional plain bits in as well. So yeah, so that'll be fine. We'll have flowers and carrots and goodness knows what else. So I'm very excited about that. So that's 2 down, and I've got 16 more of those to make. So yeah, so I think that's everything with my quilt now. And yeah, I'm really looking forward. I'm just really enjoying doing all of this stitching, and I mean, I can't wait to get to the point where I'm actually fixing squares together. But one thing at a time, and I will keep you posted on how I'm doing with that from time to time. I'll update you. Okay then, I think now I'm going to finish today by taking you to a wonderful local museum that we went to recently, and it's just I live in Durham, in case you don't know, and it's just in nearby Bishop Auckland. There's lots of fantastic little museums and things to look at there, to go and see, but this one is called the Faith Museum, and it's attached to the Bishop's Palace in Bishop Auckland, and it's just wonderful. It hasn't been open all that long. I'm not quite sure how long, maybe a couple of years, I don't know. And so it's called the Faith Museum. It isn't a museum specifically about religion, and definitely not just specifically Christianity. It is about the concept of faith, and it has a huge breadth in what it presents to you, and it goes right back to the earliest days of man and what faith actually may have meant to people then, and how it's been moulded over the ages. And I mean, I've made a little video of the museum, but really in a short space of time, I couldn't possibly incorporate everything that's in the museum. It's so amazing. But hopefully I'll just give you a little flavour of it, and just, you see, it provoked so many thoughts in me as I was going around. It really is wonderful, and I'll definitely be going back, more than once, because there's so much in it. So I hope you're going to enjoy a little visit to the Faith Museum in Bishop Auckland. Right, there we are then. It is time for me to go now. I'll be back next week with a camper van video, definitely, because that's just about done now as I speak to you now. So it'll be a camper van trip next week, or the first part of our longer summer trip that we went on. And then I'll be back soon after that to chat to you about what I've been crafting and other things I've been getting up to. So until I see you again, take great care of yourself and keep nice and busy, and I'll see you again very soon. Okay then, bye.